All right, what is up, guys? Mr. Rushka here, okay? E and F period. Since we have short periods tomorrow, unfortunately, you have to watch a short little 10-minute video, or maybe it'll be 15 minutes, on solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula, okay? So today in class, we talked about completing the square. Now you have to use the quadratic formula. That's another method you can use. It's a lot easier than completing the square. Hence, I felt comfortable making a video over it, okay? So first thing you need to do, make sure you're in standard form, okay? So, let me write that down real quick. Make sure you're in standard form. So what does that mean? It means you got 0 on one side of the equation, and this lead coefficient here in front next to x squared is positive, okay? So for this one, the lead coefficient is positive 1. Okay, so we're good there, okay? Next thing you do is you name all your coefficients, okay? So the coefficient, the number that's next to x squared, we call A. The number that's next to x, we call B. And the constant term, i.e. the term that doesn't have a variable on it, we call that C, okay? So here, A, that number next to x squared is equal to 1. B is equal to 5. And C is equal to 6, okay? All right, so solving an equation, right? We just need to get x by itself. The quadratic formula just spits out x by itself immediately. We just have to plug and chug, okay? So the quadratic formula, write this down. It's so important. Write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. Write it down, okay? Quadratic formula tells us that in a quadratic equation in standard form, x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, okay? All right. Okay, cool. So here, for this example, A, x is going to be equal to, okay, the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, let's plug everything in, okay? The opposite of b, so b is 5, the opposite of b is negative 5, okay? Plus or minus the square root, okay, of b squared, so that's going to be 5 squared, minus 4 times a, my a is 1, times c, which is 6, okay? And that's all over 2 times a, my a here is 1, okay? So that's what x is equal to. Now we just have to simplify it with our calculator. So the way I tell students to do this, I tell them to crunch the number in here. Just put this green part in your calculator and put this other part in your calculator. It's easy here. 2 times 1 is just 2. But put 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6 in your calculator. Okay, you should get 1, okay? So rewrite that with the green part simplified. So you're going to get x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2, okay? All right, next step, so crunch the numbers in green. The next step, just simplify this square root. And here it's trivial, okay? The square root of 1 is 1, okay? If you don't know that, just know that it's 1. All right, so there's our two solutions. So one solution, all right, we're going to split up that plus minus sign here. One solution is negative 5 plus 1 all over 2. All right, and the other solution is negative 5 minus 1 all over 2. And let's simplify these, okay? So that's negative 4 over 2 or negative 2, okay? This one on the bottom is negative 6 over 2 or negative 3, okay? So those are our two solutions, and that's all you do to use the quadratic formula, okay? All right, bear with me, guys, for one more example. Let's do E. Let's do E real quick, okay? What's my A? My A is the number that's right next to my x squared variable, okay? So here it's 2. What's my B? The B is right next to the x term, x variable, that's negative 11. And what's my C? My C is my constant term, that's 23, okay? So what's x equal to? What does the quadratic formula say? Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a, which is 2, okay? So, 2a. Here A is 2. So let's plug everything in. X is going to be equal to the opposite of B. B is negative 11, so the opposite of B is positive 11. Okay? Okay, so it's going to be opposite of B plus or minus B squared. Notice when you do B squared right here and plug in negative 11, that negative has to be inside parentheses, okay? This is going to be really important when you put it in your calculator, okay? Let me finish writing this out, then I'll show you, okay? So B squared minus 4 times A times my C. All over 2 times my A, which is 2. Okay? So again, let's start by crunching this part in our calculator and then the bottom part. 2 times 2 is just 4, though. But let's crunch that top part in our calculator, okay? So I want to show you guys something. You need to put this negative 11 inside parentheses, especially when you're using your calculator, okay? Here's what happens, okay? Let's say I'm using my calculator, okay? Using my calculator, okay? I put into my calculator, I want to know what a negative 11 squared is, okay? Okay? So you need to, so let's say I do negative 11 squared, okay? Gives me, oh no, negative 121, okay? That's not the correct answer, okay? You have to put it in parentheses. Left parenthesis, negative 11, right parenthesis, squared, okay? Negative 11 squared is 121, okay? That's the right answer because negative 11 times negative 11 is 121, okay? So if you forget the parentheses like I did in this top example, you will get the wrong answer, okay? You got to put parentheses in, okay? So let's put everything in our calculator then. I'm just going to crunch this green part in my calculator, all right? The part underneath the square root. So negative 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 23. All right, that gives, so x equals 11 plus or minus that green number crunched down to negative 63. And then 2 times 2 in the bottom is 4, okay? Now, next step, let's simplify our square root, okay? Let's simplify that square root. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. Simplify the square root. So you're going to get 11 plus or minus the square root of negative 63. Well, let's think about the square root of 63. That's the same thing as the square root of 9 times 7, which is the same thing as the square root of 9 times the square root of 7, which is the same thing as 3 root 7. And because there's a negative right here, we're going to write that as 3i root 7, okay? And then that's all over 4, okay? Okay, so our two solutions are going to be x equals 11 plus 3i root 7 all over 4, and x equals 11 minus 3i root 7 over 4. Let's split up our numerators, guys. So 11 fourths plus 3i root 7 all over 4, and 11 fourths minus 3i root 7 all over 4, okay? So there you go. Those are our answers. Make sure, okay, they're simplified already, but make sure all your fractions are in simplest terms, okay? Make sure all of your fractions are in simplest terms. So here are our two solutions, okay? So that's all you need to watch for today. Yeah. If you have any questions, that should be enough to do the homework. Sometimes they have fractions, which is kind of annoying. But I don't want to waste too much of your guys' time, okay? Thank you for bearing with me. Take care. Let me know if you have any questions.